What's up, everybody? I am Aflex, and this is
DJ Q.
Yes, and this is the Backspin Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We just got done talking a few minutes ago. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago, something like that.
Yeah, the podcast before the podcast.
We had a podcast, and I always tell them, hey, man, let's wait. Let's wait and talk about this.
Yeah.
But we were talking about equipment, and I know, like, this conversation has been going on for a long time, whether it's virtual DJ or Serato. There was a post today in one of our DJ group chats about that particular topic. Mm-hmm. And, man, there's some people that just ride super hard for virtual DJ, people that ride hard for Denon.
Yeah.
And it's weird to me because it seems like there's not the same sort of, I don't know, like rallying behind Serato. Like there's just people that use Serato, but people that use something other than Serato have to tell everybody about how great virtual DJ is or how great this other thing is. And I'm like...
And you're right.
It's so, I've never been like, no, man, it's all about Serato. You got to get on the Serato bandwagon. And maybe it's because they're like an industry leader and people want to root for the underdog. Do you have any idea why that is?
Yeah, man, that's an interesting topic because you're right. You're 1,000% right. Like people who don't use Serato, they got to like let it be known. Right. They got to put the billboard up. They got to get on the megaphone and let them know.
It's the same with people that use Windows to DJ. Like people that refuse to use Apple
They want to use
computers.
that Alienware laptop. It looks like a big screen TV.
Hey, I get it. I understand. Like there's some people that are super into like the tech of it. Mm-hmm. And they look at like this list of features is... a mile long compared to Serato's list of features. And they think that, so they're getting a more bang for their buck. So they're trying to like, bring all this attention. And we were talking about earlier, what it really boils down to for me is stability. Yeah. I don't need a million bells and whistles. I don't need it to have, all these, I don't need 30 different filters or 30 different echoes. I just use the one echo.
Right, echo out, man. You know what I'm saying?
I echo out, and it's just crazy to me. And then I go see some of these guys DJ that have all the bells and whistles. You go see their DJ booth, and it looks like a freaking space station, like you're in the cockpit of a 747. Right. And I'm like, I'm listening to you DJ, and all you're doing, like you loop a little bit or this or that. I'm like, what are you doing?
Just mixing two songs.
Right.
Basic. Yeah, man, like that. It's wild, but I mean, what you said is like spot on, like so accurate. Because I've seen the exact same thing, and it's been happening over the years. I remember when Tractor was out, right? And Tractor's still around, right? And there were some guys that would use Tractor, like, man, Tractor this, da 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 da. I'm like, that's cool. Tractor do this, Tractor do that, Tractor do this, Tractor do that. I'm like, that's cool, but Serato works every time I plug it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, I don't even know what else to add to because. You hit it spot on, like spot on. Like,
but it's crazy too that it's just like there's people that, another way to look at it or another thing to kind of look at is the, man, I'm having a hard time like thinking how to explain this, but the Apple versus Windows thing, like what that really boils down to, and I just don't. Let me just stop because I know I'm gonna make some people mad right
you're
now.
an IT guy, so like more than like the average DJ about like what's going on behind the scenes when it comes down to like this Apple versus Windows or whatever situation. And some of these guys are like you're a professional IT guy, you actually have a job in the industry. Some of these guys, I don't know if they do or they don't. They're like maybe self-educated and they've learned quite a bit of knowledge and that kind of happens sometimes when you do learn things like you're like, oh man, this, like you said, oh man, there's all these different features and all this and that and da. And it's like, when you say it comes down to like, are you using that stuff?
That's the point that I was going to try and get to. And I was trying, like how I got tripped up a second ago is I was trying to think of how do I say this without being disrespectful.
I don't care.
I know you don't care. But there's a lot of people that will try to, they're like, I've got, all of this great stuff. This is better, that's better. And then you go see him DJ, and they're not doing more. And I'm like, what are we really doing here?
Right.
Okay, so here's the thing that's kind of disrespectful, right?
Here we go.
If you haven't done what I've done,
yeah, we don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it.
We don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it.
We don't
If
care.
you and just
We don't
just
care.
me in general, like getting to know how if you don't make as much money as me, don't tell me how to make money. If
Yeah.
you're not as healthy as me, don't tell me how to work out. If you're not as good of a DJ as me, or you don't do gigs on the scale that I'm doing them, don't try to tell me about DJ stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
I've been
okay.
doing this for 25 years. What's most important to me, like, again, I repeat, it is not to me about how many bells and whistles I've got that, you know, there's producers that do this, that they'll hoard like thousands and thousands and thousands of sounds. I'm like, man, you don't
All those
need
plugins.
40 million kick drums.
Yeah.
You know, just
ain't
can you
made a
make a
beat.
beat? Can
Right.
you make a beat? Can you make something
made
dope?
one
Because
beat.
some of the best beats in the world that I've ever heard, you know, are 20, 30 years old that still hold up to this day. And it's like, man, you just sampled that kick, sampled that snare, tweaked it a little bit. The sample was good. And, you know, and it's rocking. That's the thing. I think that some people, they replace the skills with having
Oh yeah.
like the dope equipment,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm
quote
like,
unquote dope equipment.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I see people DJ or hear their mixers, or see them out, and I'm like, but your stuff isn't dope.
Yeah, you got all this stuff.
You can't
that
buy
you
dopeness.
claim- You got all this stuff that you claim that this program can do, and you're not doing anything with
Yeah.
it. Like, you can give me a laundry list on Facebook or Instagram or on social media about what this program does.
We
And
just
then
made half the DJs in St. Louis
Right,
mad
it's
too.
just small.
It's all love. I'm sorry, y'all.
So, like, I'll put somebody out there like D to the C. D to the C is a virtual DJ user,
Yeah.
and he stands on it. And I'd be like, D, you ain't doing nothing. I used to just give him stuff all the time. I was like, bro, you just DJ the same way as everybody else. Like, you just, but I can do this and I can do that. I can do this. You ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
And he gonna get mad. He probably gonna text me after this or whatever. But
Here-
that's how me and D. That's our relationship. We always be talking shit back and forth.
So Stan came through and DJ'd Tin Roof on Sunday, and this dude, I don't know what year his MacBook is. I don't know what version of Serato he's using.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. He's got dope tracks, dope selections, dope acapellas, and he knows how to mix and make it fresh. And the crowd was super into what he was doing. This dude played the percolator and had the place jumping.
Well, it's like,
The percolator, bro.
You said it. Like, people try to replace the lack of skill for all these other material things.
Right.
Like, I got this that does this.
Right.
Okay, that's cool.
Because
Again,
it's tangible. You can quantify
Mm-hmm.
it. Well, like, I've got this equipment, so I'm fresh, or I've got these
Right.
whatevers. So and it's like, yeah, but let me put you in front of a crowd and next to a dude that's, just a veteran DJ that just knows how to rock and work a party. I'm just, in my opinion, if you can rock a party and your equipment is stable, that's really what matters. You
Well,
can sprinkle some stuff on top of that,
Yeah.
but
Another thing is there's people doing, and your point about Stan, is there's guys like him that are doing a lot more with a lot less
exactly.
than what
Exactly.
other guys have. They got, like you said, the DJ booth looks like something out of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, multiple decks, big old mixer, all this stuff. And you got a guy that's got 2 turntables in the mixer, 2-channel mixer at that, right? No 4-channel mixer, no multiple. It's funny, like, I don't, just to piggyback on this, Daryl, one of DJ Jones, him and I were talking a couple weeks ago about this whole situation when it comes to the EDM shows. And his question is like, when are they going to stop with the 4 CDJs and having $50,000 worth of equipment in these booths, and these guys don't use it.
Yeah, if you're not James Hype,
yeah,
you don't need 4. The one thing I will say though is like I have seen, just whatever in DJ news, like CDJs will kind of break down in the middle of sets. Have you ever seen?
Yeah, but how many sound techs do they have there?
Yeah,
that can flip one out.
Yeah, you can
while you're playing this 7-minute record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and that also kind of brings me back to something we talked about a while before, which is like the scratch DJs, where I've been around some DJs, some kind of cocky EDM style DJs or whatever that want to talk about how scratching's not important, it's whatever. And, one thing is, it's like, well, who are your favorite DJs? And most of the time they're listening to scratch DJs. We talked before about, and I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I'm bringing it all together. We talked about Jazzy Jeff in that interview saying that the scratching's the seasoning.
Right. Yeah, that's been circulating the last couple of weeks, yeah.
Which I completely agree with. Like, you don't need to be, like, on Sunday, I can't go up there and be DJ Qbert and just play breaks and scratch over top of it.
Right.
But to throw in some chicka, like Stan was doing, like Deception does, like I do, like you do, that's going to set you apart, and that's going to, get you noticed more so than, I think having
equipment. People don't give a shit.
Right. Like, flexing the equipment or having like some obscure echo or whatever it is. But they make excuses. And I think there's just a lot of that going on in the DJ world, where it's like, instead of putting the reps in, it's like they would rather take Ozempic or get their stomach rubber band around, stomach stapled, than hit the gym and put down the Doritos.
Right.
Like,
100%.
So
yeah, I mean that's you're hitting the nail right on the head. I mean, that's what it is. It's all about like trying to flex this material thing instead of being able to flex the skills that you don't have. So you got to have something. And the thing is, now everybody understands that they need to promote themselves. And if you don't have skills to promote, you have to promote something. So like, some of these DJs, they don't have skills, they don't have titties. You know what I'm saying? So they got to
Which is a skill.
Right, which could be a skill. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got to ask. So they got to promote something, right? But the thing is like, that stuff only matters to the DJs. The crowd could care less, right? They don't care. And some of those guys do say that when people defend like Serato over virtual DJ. And they're right. Like, who cares what you got up there? But like, stop telling other DJs that this is what needs to be used, or this is what you use because of this. We don't care. Like, no one cares. We all have the internet. We all have access to like what is going on with the different programs. Just no one cares. Like I like the whole algorithm thing with the cell phone, and now they did an update where it'll work with some of my equipment, which is cool. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? It can matter for me, but in a different way. For me, it's not about flexing. It's more about convenience. Like, to me, it's a cool idea for me. I can show up to a gig with my cell phone and play. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
I like having conversations about this stuff. Like, I don't mind people bringing it up. Like, TJ brought it up in the group chat. Like, I'm glad that he brought it up, and the way that he brought it up was dope. It wasn't like, you're stupid if you don't use this.
Right, right. And that's the thing.
That's kind of what we're talking about. It's like, hey, you can't clown on somebody for using Serato when you use virtual DJ. Like, if it's working for that person that uses Serato. Let me just clarify that. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't Mr. Know-It-All. He wasn't being cocky or arrogant or whatever. I think what we're also talking about, like, so that people, because some people are not seeing these same conversations, probably, what are you talking about? Like, there's some people are just real cocky and arrogant with it. Like, man, it's like this elitism. If you don't if you don't drive the Benz, then and it's like, man, quit trying to flex on people. What are you doing?
What's funny is, like, the virtual DJ flex is so weird to me, because virtual DJ was just such a shit program to start with. And like now that 20 years later, it's caught up, right? Like that, and now it's like quote unquote stable,
right?
Where it's like we've been using a stable program since 2005, 2006, and now in 2024, now virtual DJ is stable. When it was out back then, nobody wanted to use it because it was trash.
Well, but that's also like the Kia thing, or Hyundai. No offense.
Yeah, well, Kia and Hyundai, right?
Where it's like you get more for your money, but to me the quality is not the same. As if you got a Honda or a Toyota. They're trying to be the Honda or Toyota, but like, and they'll give you this crazy warranty and like really kind of draw you in, but then in a couple of years your engine goes out and things are falling off your car and you got all these rattles and stuff like that, and that you're not having with other cars. So I think that's part of the deal too, where man, they are going to draw you in with all the extra bells and whistles, but in a couple of years it's going to be stable. And the same thing to me with Apple. Like I know people that are still using 2012 MacBooks.
I got a 2011.
That's 12 years. You're going to tell me you got the same Dell from 2012 that you're using?
No.
Maybe Chili C. He might be the one person.
Chili got one.
But he doesn't go on the internet with it.
Chili got one.
It's never touched the internet.
Right.
It just all he does is drops songs on it.
Right.
And it's got Scratch Live on it.
Right. Chili got one. So, Chili most definitely got one. I got a 2011 MacBook that I don't use out because I can't put the new version of Serato on it, but it still works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Same here. I got a 2012 that I keep just because it's got music on it that I might want to pull off at some point.
Yeah, but them old Dells or HPs, good luck.
Yeah.
Running Windows, 95, 98, Windows. What was the other Windows after 98?
Man, the comments on this are going to be lit.
Right. What was there was one Windows. What was the Windows that was supposed to, it was like the best one? Was it 95 or was it 98 or I forget. There was one Windows. I know that all the IT guys are going to chime in and be like, it was Windows, whatever. But one of them was supposed to be good or whatever. But yeah, no.
I know it wasn't Vista.
Right, Vista was trash. I did, because see, when I started with Serato, I got an HP, and it got stolen. Then I got another HP, and I had to put, at the time, Vista was out.
Yeah.
And I had to put Vista on it, and that was just like nightmare after nightmare after nightmare. And then that's when I finally got a Mac, because I didn't really, I wasn't an IT guy. I didn't know a whole lot. So I finally, because I, have a conversation with one of my homies, DJ Micro. He's like, bro, you just need to get a Mac. You get a Mac, that'll get rid of all your problems. And he wasn't even DJing at that point in time, but he knew computer stuff. And he was like, yeah, you just need to get a Mac. You get a Mac, solve your problems, you'll be good. Yeah. Got that Mac. I got the white MacBook, not even a MacBook Pro, the MacBook.
Right.
The white one.
Yeah.
Gravy. But that Windows computer with Vista on it, holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah, it like in the middle of your set, it starts updating.
Oh my god! Yeah, every time you just close. You didn't really shut it down. You just close it, open it back up,
and it's just laughing
78 at you. updates. Like what?
You paid me a crazy good compliment the other day. You didn't even know you did. But
what I say?
Well, so I put out a little reel on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, you made that?"
Oh yeah. I mean, I had an idea that you made it, but I didn't know. You didn't really put, like, the way you posted it. I didn't know who did it.
Right.
I thought you did it, but I wasn't 100% sure.
The reason I bring it up is you're not the only person that said, "Oh, you made that," like in a good way.
Well, because it's the first time you made it too. Made one of those.
Right.
That I've seen.
Well, yeah, but what happened was Stan the Man came out and played Sunday Tin Roof, and we're sitting at the bar and we were talking about he brought up the podcast and brought up the whole issue with 360 and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Hey man, there's so many people talking about you right now. I know that your whatever, your brand, your profile, whatever you want to call it, is boosted right now like crazy. Like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm getting some calls, I'm getting some gigs. I'm like, dude, you gotta put out some content. You gotta put out some videos. You gotta put out a mix, something. You gotta do something. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I need to. And I was like, look, I'll show you. And I'm gonna put together a little something. So I whip out my phone and I just start. There was a champagne bottle sitting there. I took a little video of it and this and that. So walked up stage. Reese is up there and waved at me and took just some like clips of this.
Yeah.
And then just, I threw it together in reels or whatever you want to call it. And just really it was the whole reason that I did it, even though I know that I should do it for my own benefit or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I saw you put your stamp at the bottom though.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, but I kind of did. I just made the video to show Stan, like, look how easy this is.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
And then, it got some love on it and stuff like that. And people were like, wow, that was good. That was cool. That was whatever. And I was just like, I need to do the things that motivate me are weird because sometimes I don't do things for myself, but I will do things to like show other people. Like, look how easy it is to do this. And then I'm like, why don't I just do it for myself when...
Right, and you got me saying you need to do that for yourself.
Right.
In our conversation.
Right. So yeah, it was just kind of like this weird, scenario where I was like, look how easy it is to do this. And I'm like, why am I not doing this all the time? Why am I telling people to do the things that I'm not doing myself? Which I am doing some.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're not doing anything.
It's not like I'm not doing anything.
But I think that specifically, especially in the situation that you have going on Sundays, is that you're there early, there's a crowd, there's time. I think the problem that a lot of other DJs may have, even for me, like, I try to do a lot of content, is that I'm not in a situation when I get to a gig, no one's there. You know what I mean? And then when people are there, I'm DJing. So it's hard to get, like, content like that. While I'm having to DJ, I can't be two people, and I think that's what Stan probably has the same issue with, he's DJing some parties or when he gets there and he has time to walk around and do some stuff like that, nothing's really going on. But I think that too, you do have to get a little creative because I wanted to start doing the same thing, but, on like getting shots that make it look like more is going on than there actually is, because again, like you get to your spot, nothing really happening, and then when shit's really happening, like, I gotta work.
Mine was the opposite. Mine was I was getting clips of stuff that were not suitable for television. There was a lot of booty shaking going on Sunday.
but what we're saying is like, how you're getting the tin roof early when there's another DJ playing and there's a decent crowd there. You have time to like grab a bunch of clips.
Oh yeah.
And then even like when you're DJing, you might be able to set up and get a frame of you DJing, maybe even on a tripod for a second. But if you're, actually you can't walk around and get the shot of the champagne bottle or, the shot of Reese or this, that, you got to have somebody that's moving about through the room.
But I also tried to grab stuff like that for other DJs. When, like, if I go to a gig somewhere, I'm going to take pictures of that DJ and send them to him, just like you did at the tattoo shop. And then I got and sent some pictures to you.
Yeah.
They may not ever make the cut, but at least you're trying. At
like
least you're trying to help other DJs to get some content because
100%.
you hope that they would do the same for you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like we talked about this before, it definitely helps, like, when you're out and you can grab some pics or some video, especially DJs for DJs, because we know, and we've had this conversation, where there are people that aren't DJs or aren't really in tune with what DJs actually do, get videos or pictures of us, and they turn out terrible. Right. Where like DJs, we like have the knowledge or the spidey sense to be like, oh, okay, this is the shot, right? He's about to do this. Let me get this, and let me get that. Let me get this. Let me get that, right? Whereas, a bar manager or something like that is walking around just trying to get a picture or a video for social media. They just get like randomness. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And DJs, while I'm thinking of it, if somebody's taking pictures of you, hold still. Because you all are all blurry. Your hands are blurry. Your head's blurry. Yeah. Because you're bouncing around all over the place. Like, hold still for a second.
I mean, that definitely, like we talked about this the other day, and that's why that's one the thing about me is I've been in photography for a while now, and I've been like kind of like on like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like not really talking about it, not really. I'm doing things, but I'm not doing anything. But like one of the things that I really want to do, but it's just a time situation, is get dope shots of DJs because I have the equipment to do it. But it's like I gotta get to their gigs.
It's a time thing.
And that's my issue, because I can take those shots of you in action and freeze it. And if you got, it's hard to, and that's the difference between like the cell phone and a real camera, right? The cell phone can get really good shots in a controlled environment that's set up for the cell phone, where with the actual camera you can make adjustments to the camera so then you can get good shots.
Yeah, shutter speed, all that kind of stuff. Shutter speed,
not get too technical, you can get good shots, but like if you're somebody that has a little bit of that knowledge, and we've talked about this too, we're like DJs now, you need to learn some photography and some videography and some graphic design and all this stuff, so you can help yourself and, like you said, like help others, right? So you can get that dope shot and it won't be blurry. You'd be like, man, that shot would have been fire if he wouldn't have moved. But it's like the best shots are candid shots.
Right.
Like there are unposed and you just caught the right moment, but you got to have the right equipment to catch that moment.
Agreed.
And then like, so learning some of these things as a DJ, like I implore like all of the guys to learn. We all got YouTube, right? That's how I learned a lot of what I know about photography. I didn't go to photography school, none of that. Just YouTube, just learn that stuff. And then you'll be able to apply it just even for your own like social media, not even to say you're going to become a photographer, right? Like, I don't think that I'll ever become like an actual photographer, but me understanding photography and being able to like, get some dope shots is just cool to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And, another thing about it is it's like, okay, Flex, Q, you keep talking about content and how important it is, but let's just bring it into focus for a second. Why is it important? Because you are building your brand. You are building your resume. When you meet somebody and you're like, hey, follow me on the gram or whatever, they're going to look at your Instagram. And based on the quality and the content of that Instagram or whatever it is that you give them, that's essentially your business card. Like you could you could be a dope DJ, but if your Instagram or whatever is whack, and the promoter, the manager, the program director at the radio station, whoever it might be, looks at that and goes, he's a good DJ, but the marketing isn't there.
They might not even get to the fact that you're a good DJ.
They might not even
get there.
Yeah, well, there's that. It depends on if they met you like while you were DJing at the club or whatever. Because what was it, last Friday? I was DJing at Tin Roof for like 2 tables. There was like 5 people, and there was a 2 top, and then 3 guys came in. And this is at 6 o'clock, something like that. I mean, it wasn't. It was the very beginning of my set that I play before Dex comes in or Artie or whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
And this guy comes up to me because he sees that I'm walking around the bar and trying to, I mix a record and I walk around and I'm listening to speakers and I'm kind of tweaking things a little bit and just trying to dial it in or whatever. And he comes up and he starts talking to me. And I was like, man, does it sound okay to you? And he's like, well, yeah. And he goes, and I would probably know. Turns out this guy runs a couple radio stations here in St. Louis. I'd never met him before, but we start talking. We know a lot of the same people, and I'm not really interested in getting back into radio, but if the opportunity presented itself, the situation was right, I would maybe consider it. But say I'm somebody else that would want to be in, get into radio. And he's seeing a little bit of what's going on with me. He likes what he sees and looks at my Instagram or I'm like, hey, check me out on YouTube. And I've got videos of me mixing. I've got this, that, whatever. So you can take that and show that to, maybe the music director. You can take that and show it to the bar manager or the rest of your team of club promoters or whatever. I know I'm kind of jumbling things up a little bit here, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying, where, we're pushing this because these are the things that you got to do to propel your career forward. If you're watching guys on the West Coast, you're watching guys, East Coast, they're all creating content. Think about your favorite DJs. You go to YouTube and watch videos of them DJing live at the club or whatever. It's maybe a video that they captured of them streaming on Twitch or whatever it might be. And what I would like is for St. Louis to get the respect that it deserves, and people to talk about St. Louis like, oh man, have you seen the videos of the DJs from St. Louis? Man, they're fantastic, because I know we have great DJs. We just don't have DJs that are putting out a lot of content, not putting out a lot of mixes, not putting out a lot of YouTube videos. And what we're seeing of a lot of DJs in St. Louis is like pictures, which are cool, but there's not a lot of like video content of DJs in St. Louis doing stuff. And I think all that is needed to make our whole little DJ community raise our
raise a bar
value, worth, whatever profile, all of those things. It just
it definitely helps. I mean, what you're alluding to is basically using these platforms. If you need a kick in the ass about making content, there's a guy that goes by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. Go follow his page. And that's all you need to do. And if you have time, get his book, Killing It. I think it's Killing It. Is it Killing It?
I don't know, but I love him. I've been following him for 10
Crushing
years,
It. Crushing It. I'm sorry. Crushing It. Crushing It is the name of the book. Get his book, Crushing It. Read it. Listen to it. I've listened to it twice.
It goes by Gary V.
Yeah, it goes by Gary V. But yeah, I mean, if you need to kick an ass about making content and using social media, which are free platforms to expose yourself. Remember back in the day when people would say, and people still say this every now and then, hey man, you do this gig for me, you'll get exposure. And like now it's like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Because I can do that online with all these platforms, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. It's free. All these things I just named are free.
Yeah.
Free outlets for you to get exposure to any and everybody that you want.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so again, learn some of this stuff. So, one of the things you're alluding to about like some of our skillful DJs in the city is they're amazing DJs. It's like what I would say to a lot of those DJs, and I would tell Stan this. I'm like, Stan, you're an awesome DJ. Stop practicing DJing. Start learning how to video yourself DJing. You got the DJing part down. Like Stan could run circles around so many DJs in this city, in this region.
Yeah, almost all
in
of
the
them.
region, right? It's like you got that part. You got that part. You don't need to worry about that part. Now it's like, all right, how do I showcase this on these platforms like we just named? How do I showcase this in the best way that I can? Because again, like
we're not picking on you, Stan.
Right? I'm not picking on you, Stan.
we're not picking on you, Stan. But I truly believe, like in deep down inside, that Stan would be a household name to like every DJ in the United States if he was consistently putting out content. Like people would go out of their way and watch that. And, you know, speaking of Gary Vee, people are talking about, well, I saw this video. Somebody's like, we want to change the world. He's like, okay, well, how much content you put out? And he's like, well, we put out one video a week. And he's like, no, if you want to change the world, maybe start with 3 videos a day.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
And then do that for a couple of years and see what that does. You know,
Yeah.
and I think it's the same. It's tough because that making 3 videos a day is so daunting. But an example of what we could do, and we probably should do, is like we take this podcast that we're doing, and that's going to come out, whatever, on Thursday, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we can post a clip of this.
I'll show you how to chop it up.
Show me how to chop it up. Let's do it.
CapCut will do it for you.
Let's put it together.
So this kind of like, this will jump to like what, you know, we were talking about the other day about like, it goes back to the technology, right? CapCut, Canva.
Yeah, but before we get into CapCut and Canva, let's just kind of stay on task with putting things out consistently and frequently.
Yeah.
You know, both of those things are very important because we see a lot of DJs, you know, you might see DJs videos in your algorithm where they're not really doing anything. They're just going through like,
you want to get to that.
They're like R&B songs from the 90s. Here's one. And I'm like, you're not really doing anything. And then you look at his page and he's got hundreds of those. He's been doing it for a year or two of, you know, and he puts up the little emojis for each song that he plays or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You've seen those guys, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
I've made a couple of those.
Yeah. No, I'm not hating on it, right? But that dude is in my algorithm because he's consistent.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the points to make about it is like, I think what some DJs get caught up into is, what do I do? And there's 2 things. Number 1, simple is always good.
Yeah.
Right. Number 2 is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You see somebody else do something,
I was going to say the same thing.
do it. Like when I worked at the radio station, shout out to Derek Green. Derek Green, we'd have meetings every 2 weeks. Derek was like, you never have to reinvent the wheel. If you hear something on a radio station, he didn't care where it was from, in Idaho, and you think it's dope, come to me with that idea, we'll do it. Right? So like, and I know we can get into the whole conversation of biting and blah, 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 but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Or you can take like somebody else's idea. Like you just saw 90s R&B, 5 songs, 90s R&B. Do 2000s R&B.
Yeah.
Do 80s R&B. Do 2000s pop. It don't matter. And put the little emojis on there. But that's where I'm getting to about like learning how to do it, right? Learn how to use the apps and the software so you can put the little emoji on your video and put the text on your video and put take the video, right? Like make the video happen with direct audio and things like that. Like learn that stuff so then you can make a video to post. But like make it, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of ideas. And that's where I was kind of going with the CapCut and Cam thing. But like, there's plenty of ideas out there to use. That, again,
all right.
I don't know. I had some what's it called? Some Jack Links on the way here. But anyway, yeah, you use other people's ideas that they already put out and twist them to your idea.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can get an algorithm, so you can be consistent, so you can, do some things.
Yeah, there's a difference between being influenced by or inspired by and like straight taking somebody's whole
you know how many
like mix
90s R&B songs that are out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
you don't want to straight.
Don't use the exact same ones. Use some different ones.
Yeah,
You're
make
good.
it your own.
Make it your own. But like it's so easy, and then. Again, make it simple. In the beginning, if you're like stuck, like, oh man, I don't have a whole routine. You don't need a whole routine. Like you said, these guys are literally playing one song for like 7 seconds and then playing another song for 7 seconds. Like I said, I got a couple. And one of those videos that I did is probably one of my high or best performing reels that I have on Instagram.
Right.
Was a reel that I did, and I actually fucked up and had a typo in my text.
This is a children's show, sir. This is I can't talk because I got Invisalign.
But I got a typo in one of my texts because I put, it was supposed to be Twister, and I put something in, but it's still one of my best performing reels.
Right.
And
imagine if you put one of those up every day, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And it doesn't have to be that. It can be, a million different things, but like
or make a big long one and chop it up. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you could. There's a million ways to skin a cat, but the thing is, knowing how to capitalize on opportunities, knowing how to capitalize on the basically how useful and how free social media is. It's so many things are just there. They're ripe for the taking. You just got to reach out and do the thing. And, that's kind of part of what the podcast is. And, putting out the little videos and stuff like that. I know that I could be more consistent. But I see, even with how infrequently I'm doing things, just doing something, doing the podcast, putting out a video once a week, putting out a mix once a month or whatever it is, that keeps you relevant. That keeps your name in people's minds or in their mouth. And it's like, oh man, you got it's something to talk about when they see you. It's something to, just, and the point that I'm getting at here is the way that I see it, or the way that I imagine it, is if you do one thing, your profile or whatever, your value, whatever you want to call it, is going to raise for a moment. But then something else is going to happen. Somebody else is going to put something out. Yours lowers, theirs is up. And then theirs is going to lower. And then maybe a month or so later, you put out another video. And then, something happens in the news or whatever, and then that goes away. But if you do it consistently, your profile will raise from, say you're at a 1 now. If you're consistent, it'll raise at a 2. You'll be at a 2. And then you stay at, 2 for a while. Then all of a sudden the quality gets a little bit better, or a blog picks you up, or something happens. And you're working from a new standard. A new normal is like my profile now is consistently 2, level 2. Then you're getting little blips of level 3. Some people think that they're going to jump from level 1 to level 5. And let's say there's 5 levels, right? I didn't really talk about that, right? It doesn't work that way. You gotta raise. Does that make sense? I think it's the same with working out with these
it's kind of like the idea of like
gains.
Well, it's you're talking about like linear progression, right? Like you got to start here and then ramp up.
Yeah.
And
what I'm saying is, if you stop working out, you got to start over again.
Yeah.
But if you keep working out,
right,
eventually it's like, okay, well now we can lift heavier weights or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same with like your status as a DJ is like you could.
Well, it's the more you do something, the better you're gonna get at it. And like, so for example, for me, and I talk about my photography stuff. Like back in 2017, I got a DSLR camera. So I've had one for almost 8 years now. So I was like fiddling around with it, and then I stopped. And then like all the stuff that I learned when I was fiddling around with it when I got it, I forgot because I had stopped fiddling around with it and messing with it. And then so when I got back into it again, I had to relearn everything. Now, but think about like if in 2017, if I hadn't stopped like fiddling around and learning photography, where I would be now with my photography and videography, right? I'd be light years ahead of where I am.
Right.
But I had to like restart the ball, right? Like, and so then that's what you're getting at. Like I did the same thing, but
yeah, and I have the same story with music production, but what I'm talking about is, like I said, your status with your audience. You know, like people coming out we want people to come out and see us and support us and watch our videos and listen to our podcasts and give us likes and follow us on other, social media channels and things like that. So, that's the thing is like, it's slow building, but consistently, I listen to, Joe Rogan. It's gotten a little weird lately. I'm not going to lie, but I'm more of a
guess you got on there now.
It's a lot of weird, like a lot of.
Redmond tells me he has like these crazy scientists on there and all this kind of stuff.
Well, we won't get into a long Joe Rogan podcast, but the point that I'm trying to make is that he was real consistent for a long time. Several times a week he was putting out a podcast.
Yeah.
We put out a podcast once a week. Sometimes we skip a week, so it's been 2 weeks since we put one out.
Yeah.
Like for this to be really successful, we should be putting out 3 podcasts a week. That is kind of impossible for us with how busy our schedules are.
Right.
But if we were really serious about wanting to be as successful as we possibly could, it's the same thing with DJing. Like, are you happy with where you're at as a DJ? Or are you like, man, you know what? I'm really going to make a run for it. I'm really going to go all in and try to be like a, big time DJ or whatever. I'm looking at guys like, I don't know him, so I hate to mention him without knowing a lot about his story, but there's a guy named Nick out in Kansas City. Nick
Niemeyer?
Davis.
Oh, Nick Davis. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know Nick Davis.
Nick Davis.
Yeah, I know who he is.
And he's got a party called Goodies, but he has a party, but he's been really consistent over the years. Again, I don't know him, but he seems to understand the power of consistency, marketing.
He understands social. I think
understands social.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit younger than us. Whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's a part of it, right? Like where, not to cut you off, but like I think this has to be stated is the younger generation definitely has more of a connection with social than the older generation.
Yeah.
Because somebody that's in their 20s, they've always had social. Right? Like there wasn't a time when they didn't have it. For us, even as DJs, like, we came up in the infancy of social, and back then social was a totally different landscape, and people used it completely. Like, not a lot, like very smart people, like Gary Vaynerchuk, claims, and he probably was one of the first people to look at social and be like, I can use this as, a marketing tool, as a sales tool, to, sell his family's wine business, But a lot of people, when social was coming out in the early 2000s, did not use social media in that fashion. So social media was more about, just social connections. It wasn't a marketing tool. It wasn't a sales tool. It wasn't an advertising tool. And so where now, fast forward into the mid 2010s, 2015s, 2020s, it is 100% that. So those people they've always had that, where we, again, saw it come in like, oh, that's just a thing to find chicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're looking for some girls, you on Snapchat or whatever, you know what I mean? You trying to holler at somebody. We just weren't looking at it like that. And like, I've had conversations with people, like me and Redmond have talked about this. Like, man, what if back in the day we thought about social the way we think about social now? Like, where would we be?
Redmond's a great example. Like, I was trying to think of a DJ that's doing it, but there's not a lot of DJs in St. Louis that are kind of using the formula or the template the way that I feel like Nick Davis is doing. I don't know if you follow him or whatever.
Yeah.
But it seems like he looked around and said, "Oh, okay, this is what people are doing in other markets. You know, this is what they're doing in San Francisco and San Diego and Miami and you know, wherever, Chicago. And okay, so I need to incorporate a lot of that into what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And whatever, maybe people that are, you know, St. Louis that are listening to this don't know who he is, but Jason Redman's a good example. It's not on the DJing side. It's he's got some, what are you saying, like health clinics,
Yeah.
you know, stuff. So, but he's constantly posting about health, fitness.
Yeah, he understands social. Like he's like us, where, you know, not a DJ, but like us who's older, you know, 40, we're in our 40s, but understands the power of social and understands that he needs to utilize it
to stay relevant
in his business. Where, like, you know, again, there's a lot of folks that are in our age bracket that are still looking at social, or maybe are still looking at social the same way we looked at social 15 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like, you know, I've had conversations, man, I don't want to be on such and such because there's too much drama. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you're just missing out. You're missing the boat on what's happening here.
Right.
It's a lot of people getting a lot of money, getting a lot of opportunity because of social. And I think the young generation, they get it 1,000%. Like, there's no doubt about it.
But I think
they get it.
There's very few younger DJs that can really hold a candle to the veteran DJs skill wise. There's definitely some, but that's the thing, is like they are utilizing the social media and reaping the rewards and advantages, but a lot of clubs and promoters and stuff are still wanting to book the veteran DJs that they know are like tried and true, trusted, that they are going to rock the party and that everything's going to go off without a hitch. So it's like either the younger generation is going to get way better at DJing, or the older generation is going to figure out the social media and try to
both needs to
stay
happen.
relevant. So
both needs to happen, because I think what happened, just, you know, being in the industry, is that what you're saying, like, you know, the younger DJs came in, they understood social, they understood how to market themselves, and they got the gigs. But when they got to the gig and they performed at the gig, the performance was subpar. Right. And so then you know, the club promoters and managers like, damn, man, this guy's got like 10,000 followers, 15, 20,000 followers on his Instagram, but when I book him, he sucks. You know, and so like then they call back like, oh man, let's get the old guys back in here.
That's not all young DJs too. Like, because I've seen some young DJs that are ill.
For sure. But like, I think that that kind of thing was happening, and so, you know, then again, like they're not forced, but they're like, oh man, we got to get the OGs back in because they know how to handle it. But then the problem is the OGs don't have the following or the marketing. They've kind of like felt like, oh man, I'm just not a part of that scene anymore.
But then the following becomes that of the club, where people are going to the club because the club's hot, because the club hired a good DJ. But it should be the DJ that's rocking it is the brand, is the draw, where it's like, I want to go wherever RDJ is. I want to go wherever DJ Q is. I want to go where A-Flex is. I want to go where Boogie B is. I want to go. I don't care about, but it's like, okay, well, he's going to be at Tin Roof, then I'm going to go to Tin Roof to see him. Yeah. But if you don't do the marketing, you know, they kind of use you like this pawn. We're like, hey man, we're going to keep you in here, and we're going to give you, you know, we're going to pay you as little as we can, because you don't really matter, because you didn't make yourself matter. Yeah. You got to make yourself matter to where it's like, hey, I could walk away from the situation. Like, I don't know the deal, right? I don't know RDJ's deal, but RDJ rocks the roof off of Tin Roof. No pun intended. He has the power, and he, you know, he has the status, and he's raised his level to the point where, you know, he could probably get an offer to make, you know, a couple $100 more than he's making at Tin Roof, and be like, I'm going to leave. And they're going to negotiate with him and go, whoa.
Yeah, they need him.
How much do you need? I think because, you know, they could let him go and let somebody else come in there, and things would, you know, probably fall apart if they didn't get the right DJ. But how many other RDJs are
Yeah,
out there?
there's
And I'm
only
not trying to
him.
kiss Hardy's ass, but I'm
Right,
just
there's
saying
only
that
him,
like
and he's
he
got
did
his
the
following,
thing to
yeah.
raise his following and his profile and did all the things. And he's constantly posting and
Yeah.
all of those sorts of things that like all of the stars are aligning, but there can be other people that are in that same situation. Now we know people. Like there's
Yeah.
only one Charlie Chan. Like
Yeah.
if you're like, man, who are we gonna get? We're gonna get Charlie Chan.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you got to be the one of one. You got to be the we talked about this the other day too, but I only want to do gigs, to be honest with you. I only want to do gigs where they want me.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't want to do gigs where it's like,
Yeah,
well,
we
we
just
need
need a DJ.
We just need a DJ, and I'm like, can I please DJ? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Now,
Nah.
that's not to say like I do some gigs for, like I do my Sundays, which are great, but I also will do some other like fill spots at Tin Roof to make some money because they pay me fantastic and they treat me fantastic, and it's a nice little situation
Right.
for me. But I'm talking about like Friday and Saturday nights where like these Main Street gigs where they're trying to pay you $200, and we just need somebody in here that's going to
Well, I
play
get
some
paid
music.
more than that on Main Street.
I know you do, but I'm just saying that you do because you've established yourself, right? But what do you think when you look at the whole street?
Well, yeah, I think that like there's, like I said, a couple things going on, right? I think, and I've been guilty of this. I'm pretty sure you've been guilty of this, and a lot of like veteran DJs have been guilty of this. Like where we've talked to a promoter or manager, and they're like, "What kind of following do you have?" And you're like, "I ain't got no following. I'm just dope." And it's like I think that we need to let that go and prove our dopeness through our following with social, and really like boost that up, because it's a double-edged sword when you're dope and you got a following.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Then you name your price.
Then you name your price, because the guys that have the following that aren't dope, then it's the same thing for them. Like I said, like you said, like the guys that have the good marketing need to be better DJs, and the better DJs that have bad marketing need to get better marketing. Yeah, 100%. Because we're going into it like, I don't need a following. I'm just dope, but I'm gonna rock whatever you got. Well, I think that we need to change our tune about that comment and create that following through social. And then the DJs that have the following through social, it's like, get better, because then when you show up with your following and you suck.
I think DJs, they are some of the most stubborn, entitled.
Yeah, I mean, because
It's like,
here's
I don't
why
need to-
though. Here's why. DJs like you and I and the veteran DJs, we put so much time and effort into being dope DJs, right? And that's why we won battles. That's why we got asked to be on, a part of things, and got hired to do high profile gigs, and, got booked out of town and went on tour with, an artist and things like that. That's why, because, we built this mountain of a DJs that we are. But I think that, in this day and age, 2024 going into 2025, we gotta add that other side.
The times have changed, and you have to evolve.
And I think that the veteran DJs still have the advantage of learning marketing and social over the DJs that understand marketing and social and don't have the skills.
Oh,
I think they got the advantage. I think it takes longer to be. I think if you're starting,
there's a point of like diminishing returns on that, because once you look like a grandpa, the clubs are not going to want to hire you.
Well, true.
It
Yeah.
You can be super
You can't be 70 years old.
and be, you know what I mean? You're up there with your comb over and.
But we're just talking about clubs, right? There's other opportunities for DJs out there, right? So like maybe you are an elder statesman, maybe you're in mid 50s going into 60s, but you still got skills. There's other opportunities, and DJs are showing that, like like guys like DJ Mars going on tour with all those guys. He's going on tour with. He's an older gentleman. Like, he's not old. You know what I'm saying? Don't come after me, dog. But
right.
But he's older than us, I would believe.
I talked to Nino 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He came up to Tin Roof. He was hanging with Charlie and some guys. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I'm like, how long are you going to do this? And he's like, man, until I can't carry my equipment out to the car anymore. He's like, I'm gonna do this forever. And I was like, it's so fun. It's so enjoyable. You may have to adjust the gigs that you're doing.
Yeah.
You may not necessarily do the young 21-year-old hot spot, but there's grown and sexy spots that are popping up all over the place because they don't want to hang out with the little Thundercats,
Or not even just the clubs, like just like we talk about social, like the streaming
radio,
stuff, the radio
everything.
stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like now you can create your own radio station. You know what I'm saying? There's so many opportunities to showcase your DJ ability outside of just DJing a nightclub that's the hot spot in town. There's a lot of DJs like that can still make it as a DJ, and you would never even know because they're not doing Wheelhouse on Saturday night or Tin Roof on Saturday night that's just pumping through the roof. They're doing all this other stuff you don't even know anything about.
Yeah, that's true.
Like look at like a good example of that, like Noonie. Noonie's doing all kind of gigs. Like I see Noonie's like social. I'm like, bro, like how'd you get that? Like where'd that come from? He's got all these different events and different gigs going on that he's doing. I'm like, damn, dog, that's dope.
But he distinguished himself from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, he did. But I'm just saying, like, Noonie ain't 21, 22, 25, 30, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's all right. So there's other opportunity besides that, just the clubs. But I think that, again, like, to be a Charlie Chan right now and you're starting out, it's going to take you a lot longer to be a Charlie Chan versus us being social media gurus.
Yeah,
and
especially with
gurus.
Technology now being so simple to use. Like there's templates and there's how-to videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It could not be easier.
So easy.
We've been going for a while.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to wrap, or you got something still you want to?
No, we're good. I mean, like I was going to talk. You were going in the whole CapCut, or I was going to go in the CapCut and Canva thing.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
But like you're saying, like so easy with the templates. All I'm gonna say is just learn CapCut in Canva. Get the free versions, learn it. Get the paid versions, learn it, because it will take you. It'll up your stock, 100%.
Yeah,
100%, and it's so easy. That's what I'm saying. Now, like with the tech, us being better with that versus a new DJ.
If you're giving them that sauce,
yeah.
Instagram Reels
Same
has templates.
Same.
Just use the templates.
Yeah.
Get some video, use a template. Mm-hmm. It's so freaking easy. You just choose a couple of videos and then wiggle your finger back and forth on it.
Yeah, man.
And hit the submit button or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so like I'm going to be doing it way more. I realize how easy it is and how much you can't go back and do all the things that you didn't do before, but moving forward, now's the time to start and start being consistent. So
yeah. All right, man. Well, I gotta use the bathroom, so we gotta wrap this up. Matter of fact, you go ahead and wrap it up, man. I gotta hit it.
Okay, it's an emergency. All right. Cool. Well, thank you all very much. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow us on the socials. And we will see you in about a week. Appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye.